Okay, if you just do it, it'll turn out okay. Hey everyone, we're back for more Talking Time with Caffeine, the only podcast where that stuff happens. I'm Ben Dilly 998, and for the first time ever on this podcast, I have a guest that can claim the same name.
Yeah, sort of. I'm not going to take that name away from you, though. But at least I graduated at the same time. I went to the same school.
Welcome, welcome, guest for today. Introduce yourself.
I am Tony Baber. I went to school with Vandalia 98 back in the 90s, the best decade, or at least better than 80s, anyway, in my opinion. Basically, I'm on here because I kind of semi-professionally fish. He had an interest in kind of coming on and talking about what it is that I do and kind of the whole process and the whole fishing world and I guess how I got started into it and things like that. So I've been doing it 4 years now. This is going to be my first year fishing as a professional, so to speak, or a boater. I've always fished out of the back of the boat, so it's going to be a different experience for me. Pardon my dog while he goes crazy.
We got another guest now, I guess.
Right? I don't know what's going on. I don't even hear anything out there, but I guess he just wanted to make his presence known. That way everybody knows. So that's my dog, Petey. He's kind of crazy. I'm sure he'll make more noises before we're done with because he likes doing that, especially if I'm doing anything constructive. He likes to interrupt.
And hello to Jim. So what made you get started in the fishing business?
Honestly, it's something I've been doing for a long time as far as just fishing as a kid. I mean, I've been fishing as long as I can remember, probably 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, my dad used to take me fishing when I was young too.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically what it was. Go out with my dad, go out with my grandpa. They have a house down at Lake Cumberland. We used to go down there every summer. As soon as school got out, I'd go down there and spend a week or two.
Dad, go out with my grandpa. They have
fish. And then basically that's where the passion kind of started. And then I kind of got away from it for a few years just because of life happening and things like that. Got back into fishing and started concentrating more on bass fishing. So like black bass, largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass, that kind of thing. And then my assistant chief at the firehouse, actually, Mark Whetstone, he's the one that kind of talked me into taking the jump and trying some tournament fishing. And I did a couple tournaments the next year just to get my feet wet and fell in love with it. It's just the excitement of it, the intensity of it. It's, I don't know, it's just a way to get the competitive juices flowing without having to extremely exert myself now that I'm getting older. So it makes it a little bit nicer.
Yeah, we're in our 40s now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Some of us even have grandkids now.
Yeah, apparently. That's true. I do know a few people like that. It's kind of crazy to think, but I don't know. It's just something that I needed a hobby, I guess you could say, and I kind of fell in love with it. And now it's turned into a complete passion and an obsession, if anything else. I mean, if you see my bait collections or anything like that, you'd understand why I say it's an obsession.
So what made you start your own channel about your obsession?
So it was kind of wanted to share it with everybody. It's kind of a big thing too in the fishing as far as like the competitive fishing or professional fishing, I guess you could say. It's turned into a big thing now with YouTube and doing videos and instructional videos and vlog style stuff. And there's a lot of things that are kind of moving that way as far as the industry goes. So I kind of didn't want to fall too far behind the ball there. I feel like I'm a couple years behind it really, but it's a good time to get into it just so, for the sponsors and being able to generate sponsorships and money and things like that. It's kind of where the whole industry is going as a whole.
Cool. Hopefully this making an appearance on this most highly viewed podcast will get you more notices.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm sure my subscriptions will triple. I'm hoping, right?
Yeah.
But
so where have you gone? Have you gone locally and far away on your lake river journeys or fishing journeys?
It's taken me all over. I haven't gone to all the lakes and areas that I'd like to get to, but I'm still kind of young in the whole experience, I guess you could say. But majority of my time spent down in Kentucky and Tennessee areas. Like the Tennessee River has a bunch of lakes impounded on it, just all along it. They have power plant and dam, kind of combination hydroelectric dams and things like that all
Yeah.
along the Tennessee River.
Yeah, a
So
lot of my family lives down there in Kingsport and Chattanooga.
yeah, there's a ton of lakes down there. So that's where I spend the majority of my time. Lake Cumberland obviously is kind of my home base, if you will, down that way, just because of the grandparents' house being down there, or the family house, I should say. And we spend a lot of time down there in the summer, and just it's a beautiful, huge lake. And there's a lot of people from Ohio that go down that way too. But I've been to Lake Cumberland. I've been to Dale Hollow Lake, which is just a little bit south of Lake Cumberland. I've been to Barren River Lake, which is on the west side of Kentucky. Kentucky Lake, which kind of straddles Kentucky and Tennessee on the west side. Lake Chickamauga, which is on the Tennessee River. It's down around, I don't know what, I guess it's just a little bit between, kind of south between Nashville and Knoxville, like just right in the middle between the two of them. I'm trying to think if there's some other lakes. That's really about it. I mean, I visited a bunch of lakes up here last year. I fished a Buckeye division in the series that I fish, and we fished places like St. Mary's Lake and Indian Lake and the Ohio River, places that a lot of people around here are familiar with.
So are you only freshwater? Done any saltwater fishing?
No, I've never done any saltwater. Well, I take that back. Maybe once when I was younger, like on a vacation down there, kind of messed around with it, but I've not done anything since probably in the last 15, 20 years, really. I've not touched it, but I'm so obsessed with the bass and the freshwater. I don't even want to take the time to do it. It's kind of like fly fishing. If I do it, I'll get obsessed with that, and then that's just something else to spend money on that I can't do.
So what's the biggest thing you caught so far?
Biggest largemouth I've caught is 6 pounds. I actually caught it up here by the Dayton airport. There's a little park up there that's got some ponds on it. And I was up there one spring, I think it was 2 years ago. And I was actually in my kayak, of all things, just kind of up there floating around and fishing, and caught a 6 pound largemouth up there.
I asked that. Yeah, Jim, I just asked that question. So anyways, I've seen has this ever happened before? I was wondering. I think it happened one time. Have you ever caught a fish and while you're reeling in, a bigger fish came and got that fish?
No, I've not had that happen. I mean, it'd be nice if it did, especially if it's in a tournament situation and it's the right kind of fish that came up and ate it. Then yeah, that would be perfect. But yeah, I've never actually seen that or had that happen to me.
Would that count as one fish, or would that count two fish?
It would count as one fish, I guess, as long as he didn't puke up the other fish.
Oh, yeah. I off topic, but on topic too. I was watching this one fishing guy on YouTube, and he was doing some kind of like a food chain challenge. He caught a small fish and used it to catch a bigger fish.
No, really? Yeah, I've seen some videos of people doing that, or reeling something in, a bigger fish comes and eats it or something, or even an alligator. I've seen that before too, or a crocodile. I don't know what it was, but I remember seeing something where the guy was reeling a fish in, and there was a gator chasing after it as he was reeling it into the boat. That would be a little scary.
So have you got I forget where it ends up. Have you got to any like pike level fish areas?
Pike, like northern pike and stuff. There's actually some around here. I've actually caught a few of them out of the Great Miami down around the Heber Heights area.
Oh, are pike bigger than bass, or they eat bass, or the other way around? Or
I'd say that they might like kind of be a little bit of a predator, maybe for the smaller bass, like when they're younger. But there's a lot of things that kind of prey on like fry and like younger bass, if you will, when they're like little like that.
The food chains were like that. As it may be their meals, but then they get bigger.
They kind of flip the script. Yeah, because like bluegill eat like baby bass, but when the bass get bigger, like bluegill is actually one of the things that they'll prey on if there's not a lot of other bait fish or crawfish or whatever for them to eat.
Revenge time.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like
it's payback.
kind of like how dragonfly nymphs eat baby frogs, but when they're both adults, the frogs turn the tables.
Yeah, right. Pretty much.
So do you prefer you use live bait more or plastic fake bait?
Actually, we have to use all artificial as far as for tournaments and stuff. We're not allowed to use anything live. So I prefer the artificial bait just because practice what you preach kind of thing.
Yeah.
I try to learn and practice everything I can based on, what we're allowed to use and things like that. Because, you can go out and use live bait, and I've actually seen people do it down in Florida, like Lake Okeechobee and stuff, and they'll use shiners, and they'll catch just 10, 12-pound largemouth bass out of the lakes down there.
So your fish don't get a last meal before you catch them.
Yeah. But yeah, it's all artificial for me. And then there's so many different styles and kinds and things like that. It's, to try to sit here and even explain it would be probably impossible.
So do you do the sit and wait bobber method or the pull it back and let the thing move method?
It's definitely more of a constant move thing. The bobbers and stuff are more for, like, if I'm going out bluegill fishing or crappie or something like that, that's more what I do the bobber for. But I don't really even do that much anymore. I used to do it a lot when I was younger, but now that I'm into the tournaments and stuff, it's a lot of the techniques and things that you do for bass fishing don't involve like bobbers or anything.
It's more fast paced than just sitting around waiting, I guess.
Somewhat, yeah. It just depends on what you're doing. Like the style of fishing that I do is what they call more of like a power fishing. So it's definitely more of a, like I say, chuck and wind kind of thing where you're just throwing it out there and cranking it back constantly. But there's other techniques like finesse techniques and stuff that you do called like drop shot or shaky head, things like that, where you're literally just throwing it out there and kind of letting it sit on the bottom and just barely moving it just to kind of see what happens. As far as strangest thing that's happened while I was fishing. I've had some interesting stuff on the river before. Caught a few turtles, quite a few turtles actually on the Great Miami. Probably the weirdest thing that ever happened as far as fishing on the river was pulling up clothes. I thought I was undressing somebody underneath the water. Just pulling up a piece of underwear. And then I cast back out like a couple casts later and pulled up a t-shirt.
Skinny dipper.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what was going on there. Kind of freaked me out a little bit. But yeah, that's probably one of the weirdest things that's happened. I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head. I've been out in some pretty hairy situations. We were practicing for a regional tournament down at Kentucky Lake one year, and it was I think it was the last day of practice, and it got really windy. And the way Kentucky Lake is set up, it's real like north to south, like long. And of course the current flows that way. So like the wind was cutting up against the current. So it was making these huge swells. I mean, they must've been 5-6 foot waves, and trying to get back in that was kind of interesting. Definitely got the crap beat out of me then.
So it was
a rough ride.
So you've ever done any ice fishing?
No, I don't go out when it's cold like that. I don't even mess with it. Unless I always say the only way I'm going out when it's cold like that is if there's money on the line. So I fished a tournament at Kentucky Lake 2 years ago, and it was 28 degrees at blast off, and we had almost 2 inches of snow blowing in the morning. So that's the worst conditions I've ever had for a tournament, and that would be the only time I go out. Like once late November hits, I kind of put the boat up and put the tackle up and kind of hunker down for the winter. I actually use the off season more for tackle cleaning and preparation, and I tear apart all my reels and re-grease them and clean them up and stuff like that. That's
you're doing that's what you're doing around now.
Yeah. So like I just finished up my reels. I've been working on my hard baits all day today. Actually, I spent about 3 hours just going through every box, reorganizing it, checking hooks and replacing rusty hooks or, dull hooks or anything like that, doing that kind of stuff.
So what do you do on you're not, no, Christmas. So how high do you place the tournament? Do you win a lot of them? Or like second and third places, or what do you usually?
So fishing as a co-angler, there's a lot of things that are out of your control. So it's a lot harder to be consistent as far as you could be a great angler and still struggle because everything as far as where you fish and how you fish, as far as I should say how fast you fish and things like that, are kind of out of your control as a co-angler. So you kind of have to make the best of the situations that you're in. So I've had some good finishes. The best finish I've had is a 4th place finish, a 7th place, and then I had an 8th place on the Ohio River this last year.
Wow.
And I've finished in the top 20 a few times. I've cut a check. I think every season I've fished, I've gotten at least one check. And I've made every regional except for the last year was the first year I didn't make a regional championship.
But no gold, silver, or bronze yet.
Not yet. I did. I hate to tell this story because it hurts every time, but there was a tournament one year, I believe it was 3 years ago at Dale Hollow Lake, and it was one of those life lessons kind of things. We were out, and I got on a pattern and started catching some fish, and I had a really good bag. It was about, so with the tournament fishing, you're allowed to have 5 fish, your 5 biggest fish, basically. You can catch as many as you want, but you're only allowed to keep 5 and weigh 5 fish. And I had caught 5 good fish, and I had even do what we call as culling, when you get rid of a couple smaller fish and replace it with a bigger fish. And I'd actually done that a couple times, and my estimated weight, I didn't actually weigh any of the fish prior to the end of the tournament, but I would guess my weight was around 15 to 16 pounds, which is a really good bag for a tournament, as a co-angler especially. Mm-hmm. And we ended up going back to the weigh-in, and the guy I was with kind of had a plan. He's like, we're going to stop here. We're going to spend this time here. We're going to go back, and then we'll get back about 20 minutes early and fish around the check-in, like where we actually do the boat check to check in for the end of the tournament. And we get back around that area, and we're sitting there, and I can hear people checking in to the guy over at the check-in spot, and he's calling, they're calling out their number like we're boat whatever. And I hear somebody call out one that's like boat 76 or something. And we were like boat 20. So I knew something wasn't right. And I happened to look down at the clock on the fish finder, and we were about 45 minutes late to our check-in. And basically what happened is after 15 minutes, you get basically disqualified. So I lost my entire bag for that tournament. I mean, it made me almost sick. Like I said, it was almost 15, 16 pounds. The winner of that tournament on the co-angler side had 17 pounds. So at the very least, I think I would have finished second, maybe third, if I would have been able to weigh those fish in. And it would have been about a $800 to $1,000 paycheck for it. So that one hurt pretty bad, but I can promise you I will never be late for a weigh-in ever.
Like have like 3 or 4 clocks now on your boat.
Yeah, exactly. Like 16 alarms on my phone, and yeah, probably alarms and clocks and everything else on the fish finders. But yeah, that one hurt pretty bad. But so I've had an opportunity at getting the old silver or bronze at least, but it just wasn't meant to be. So
what do you do when you're not fishing?
Work. That's about it. If I'm not doing tournaments and stuff, I'm usually out fun fishing. I go out about every weekend I can, really. I bought a boat a little over a year ago now, and that was something that I'd been working towards for a long time, and finally was able to get one. And ever since I got it, I always swore to myself if I ever owned a boat, I wouldn't let it sit there and not get used, because I can't stand seeing that where people buy boats and they take them out like twice a year. It's like, why have it if you're not going to use it?
Yeah. Like what's like a little small boat, big boat, medium boat?
It's a 19-foot 3-inch bass boat. So it's right around the middle of the range as far as bass boats go. The biggest bass boats are about 21 and a half feet. The smaller size bass boats for like tournaments and stuff would be 17, 18 foot. So I'm right kind of in the middle. It's big enough that it can handle some bigger lakes and bigger water, as far as boats and traffic and weather and waves and stuff.
Yeah, the biggest boat I've ever been on was a canoe.
I have a 10-foot kayak. If you want it, I can sell it to you.
Actually, never mind. Not including a little yacht. Riverboat that I went on for one of those one time for one of those riverboat prom things.
Yeah,
as a chaperone.
Yeah. I've been on a cruise ship before, I guess, if that counts. That was actually my graduation gift from high school from my parents. I got to go
Nice.
on a cruise.
Mine was an old car.
I mean, I didn't even have a car at that point, so
Yeah, I didn't have it for that much long, but it was one of those, it was one of those old cars, with the old radios where you get the little wire thing tells you that if you move it, you lose your station.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's what you've basically been doing since you graduated, or even before you graduated?
Not really. Like I said, I didn't really get into the fishing stuff till probably 2014, 13, I guess, is when I started getting into like the bass fishing and stuff.
At least professionally.
Yeah. I mean, so
was it even a hobby before then, or?
Barely. From probably 2000, I'd say probably 2005 to about 2010 or so. I just didn't really fish that much. I just worked all the time and, did other things. Live that life of a mid-20s, going out to bars and hanging out and being with friends and stuff.
So let's see.
What about you, though? You do any fishing at all?
Not for I haven't fished 10 years ago. Not for 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the time I went fishing, I hit my head.
Oh, so I guess that kind of turned you off to the whole experience.
I was at this big thing, and I was hoping this little girl fishing thing. It's over at Arvada Park, that little lake there. And I kind of slipped down on the hill and fell back.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that place is they used to actually be some pretty good fishing there. I don't know what it's like anymore, but I know they used to stock it back in the day. I don't think they do anymore, but
yeah, my dad used to go there, fish there, or at where else you go? Carriage Hill.
Yeah, that's a good place to go for bass, anyway.
A few times at the pond over by Cedar Falls, or Charlton Falls, I mean.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then on my over by Taylorsville.
Yeah.
There used to be a little small lake there, or a pond, little thing off the edge, but I think they moved it right off since they remodeled everything there a while back ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I know where you're talking. I think I fished there a couple times. There used to be a little place back by the railroad tracks too, like a runoff from the golf course that you could go to. I think you'd get run off whenever you were in there, but we've been in there before and fished.
Oh, and then before it dried up, over by Inglewood, that little lake by the little thing by Inglewood Dam.
Yep, the way that used to be, that big, huge reservoir there.
And I used to feed the ducks there too.
Yep.
My dad was fishing. I duck fed them, but that thing was all dried up now, and trees there now.
Yeah, there's that place, that's where I caught that 6-pounder, was just north of there. It's called the North Ponds of Inglewood Metro Park, and it's right off of I think it's Old Springfield Road, I believe, when you're heading towards Union. There's a little park there. It's like an old gravel pit they turned into a park, but I take my kayak over there, and there's some really good fish in there. I hear people catch some pretty good crappie out of there too, but I've never done that. I've always just gone there with kayak and bass fish, but I've caught, I think my best 5 fish out of there in 2 trips there one time was about 23 pounds, which is a pretty good limit of fish, especially for Ohio. Ohio is notoriously not a great bass fishing area.
So you ever ever got into salmon area or anything like that?
Where is that?
Like salmon area?
No, I've never done anything up there, or around salmon, I should say. I think they got some up in northern Ohio, up around Erie. I think there might be some.
Yeah.
In some of the lakes and stuff up there. I know there's trout and stuff, I think, in the Mad River, but that's more fly fishing and stuff.
So do you do more in calm waters or moving waters?
Mostly it's calm because it's mostly just big lakes, like reservoirs and stuff. Like Lake Cumberland's at Summer Pool, which is 723 feet above sea level. Summer Pool is like 56,000 acres, I think. So, I mean, it's a pretty big lake. So even if they're moving water, you don't really notice it too much. The Ohio River and the Great Miami River are probably the only two places that I've really fished that have like true current that you can actually see yourself moving, in a boat. But
So you haven't got like lost in the current, like drifted off like a few feet or a mile or two from where you were.
I mean, yeah, but kind of on purpose. Like use it to your own advantage kind of thing. Use it to navigate through. But yeah, especially on the Great Miami because the current's so much more swift there. And usually if I'm there, I'm on a kayak. So, I mean, you move pretty quick there with a kayak.
Yeah, you don't want to fall asleep there. Like time to go back. Wait a minute, how did I get in the Ohio River?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you fell asleep there, you'd end up falling over a Lowhead Dam somewhere. It'd be pretty tragic. Because they got one about every 2 or 3 miles, I think, down through there. I usually go in the area just south of Dayton there. It's off of East River Road.
Yeah, I think I've seen some of those things there. I used to, a few years ago, I rode my bike from Vandalia to Dayton to West Carrollton. I passed a lot of boat things there.
Yeah, that section of the river that runs right along I-75 and stuff, I've fished through there quite a bit over the years. A lot of good smallmouth down that way, too. Smallmouth bass are fun to catch. They fight really hard.
So the only difference is this between large and smallmouth is the mouth sizes?
Kind of. Smallmouth are colored a little bit differently, actually quite a bit differently. Largemouth tend to be a little bit lighter color and more of like a emerald green, I guess you could say, depending on where they're at. I mean, they can be really dark too if you get them in like a lake that has like Indian Lake where there's a lot of lily pads and grass and stuff. Yeah. The fish kind of like chameleon a little bit, so they'll get a lot darker. But generally speaking, largemouth bass are a little bit lighter color, and smallmouth are more of like a bronze, like a golden bronze color. They can actually be really cool, like the way the striping can be on smallmouth, because they'll be striped almost like tigers sometimes.
I think I remember when my dad fished, he used a lot of time he used minnows as bait.
Yeah, that's real common. Minnows and crawfish are about the best thing to use, especially for bass. If you're going to go for those, there's some shad bait out there, and so live crawfish work really well too because they love crawfish.
I think I ate a crawfish once, or at camp once.
Oh yeah, like a boiled crawfish.
Yeah.
Here, I can show you one of the baits that we use. Looks just like a crawfish, kind of.
Yeah, learn that you had to cook it while still alive. Otherwise, it tastes you can't eat it.
Really? I've never actually had any.
Apparently, it's like a lobster or crab, whatever, I guess.
Yeah, I know it's real big south. I know my parents like it, and my sister, but I've never actually had them. It's what we call like a creature bait. It's kind of like a crawfish.
To trick the fish. Ooh, food.
Yep, pretty much.
This tastes terrible.
No, they make them taste like coffee and salt, which apparently the fish they like.
So I wonder if that means real of them taste like coffee or salt.
I don't know. I think the coffee scent's more. I mean, this particular brand that I use uses coffee scent. I think it's more to hide the human smell than anything. But the salt is pretty common in all soft plastics. I guess that's a pretty good thing to bass for whatever reason they enjoy it. Most idealistic spot to fish saltwater? Oh, probably southeast. It seems like they do really well down there, like Florida, South Carolina coast, and Georgia. Like that area seems to be pretty good. I've never actually done it. I know they do decent, like in Gulf Shores area and kind of in the Gulf of Mexico. But
would you be scared of catching a shark if you're down there, or what?
No, I mean I think it'd be fun, but I might get bored with it after a while because I know some of them things. If you catch a big enough one, you'll sit there and fight them for 30-40 minutes. And I don't know that I'd want to do that. That's the good thing about bass fishing. You tend to you want to get them in the boat as quick as possible, and it usually doesn't take 30 or 40 minutes.
Yeah. So what is the longest you had to fight a fish for?
I don't even know. Maybe a couple minutes. I mean, honestly, it's usually not that long of a fight because it's pretty close quarters, depending on what you're doing. But what I like to do anyway, a lot of times I'm usually pretty close to them. It doesn't take long to get them into the boat. So it's like I said, maybe 2 minutes, and that was probably the 5-pound smallmouth that I caught down at Dale Hollow a couple years ago, just because it was such a big fish and just took my time with it because I didn't want it to break off or get off of the hooks or anything.
All right. Think questions. This is why I like to have this is why I like to have usually a third person right here, four for sometimes. Sometimes I can't think of anything to say. And two people that are a lot of dead air. So you don't do anything else for so do you like play any games or anything anymore? Or you just
I kind of do in the wintertime sometimes. If I have some downtime, I might play like PlayStation or Xbox. I actually have both, but it's not. I used to play a lot until I got back into fishing, and now that I do that, takes up so much of my time. I just don't do as much of it.
If you had PlayStation, after we're done with this, we just exchange. We should add each other to our friends lists.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I got a off topic. I got a PlayStation for $5. A PS Gold from Taco Bell. I want one of those.
Nice. Can't beat that.
So
I had to pay full price for mine.
Yeah, I think we had to pay $10 for it. It took $2 to get it.
I think that's not a bad deal.
Yeah. Other than that, most of the stuff I get, luxury items. I had to get with my tax refunds because can't afford anything else otherwise.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, it's no wonder I'm not broke living in a box with as much money as I spend on fishing stuff.
Stupid adult bills and stuff.
Right, I know. Adulting takes away from all the fun stuff.
Yeah. So what kind of games were you into?
Oh, I did a lot of the first-person shooters when I was playing, like the Call of Duties and stuff. I got burned out on Call of Duty, and I gravitated more towards Battlefield the last couple of years that I was really playing it a lot, just because I kind of got tired of the same old with Call of Duty.
Yeah, I've never been good at the first-person shooters ever since the days, Doom days.
Oh yeah.
And only first person shooter I was ever good at was Duck Hunt.
Oh, yeah, back in the day with the Nintendo.
Yeah, and even that, I cheated.
Yeah, I mean that was I do those, but I do like more the real-time strategy stuff. I like Civilization and
I have bought in every Civilization game since from 1 to 6.
Yeah, and SimCity same way.
I
love those kind of games.
I'm mostly into like RPG stuff, like Final Fantasy, Zelda, little Mario here and there. But my favorite RPG series right now is still Kingdom Hearts, the Kingdom Hearts series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just beat the 3 DLC, Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC yesterday, staying up till 11 a.m.
Well, of course.
To get beaten, and then I passed out.
You ever do any of the WoW stuff?
Oh yeah, I've done WoW since I've done all the. At least I've sampled all the WoW things since Lich King, and I even tried the classic thing for a while too.
Yeah, it's just nothing. It's something I never got into, but I mean, I've seen people play it and watch people play it and stuff.
And recently, I've been into visual novel series. Like my big one right now is Dog Naropa. It's a murder mystery thing, and there's also Phoenix Wright, Steins Gate. It's more of a story driven thing than action. But if you with all these twists and turns and stuff, it use your brain.
Yeah. Those kind of things aren't too bad. I've played a few games kind of like that. I couldn't give you a name, but I know I've played a few games that are that style of gaming, and that's not bad either. I don't mind that stuff because it's always fun just to see where the story goes and how it ends and stuff.
Yeah, we just did last year we did a 7-part series on one of the game series. Originally, I thought it would be like a one we could do it for one episode, but then the first game took 2.5 hours to talk about, so we broke it up into sections.
So just kind of expanded it out from there. I guess it's probably one of those things, honestly, as far as what caught my attention with it was just been doing it since I was young, as far as how I got into the sports side of it or the competitive side of it. Like I said, I was kind of shy about it, I guess. Like I just didn't have a whole lot of confidence in my abilities to do it. I just kind of fun fished and tried to do the best I could that way. But then I kind of got that push from a friend of mine that said, give it a try and, just see if you like it or not. And so I kind of dipped my feet into the water with the tournament fishing. And I think it's just the adrenaline of it, just to get those competitive juices flowing and kind of get back to a competitive setting where you're trying to, outsmart not only your competitors, but the fish too. It's that puzzle, that challenge of every day is different. You're never going to go out there and have the same thing happen twice, or at least rarely.
So have you ever caught anything you're aiming for, caught something else like you weren't expecting?
Yeah. When I caught those northern pike on the Great Miami, I was trying to catch smallmouth, caught like 3 or 4 northern pikes. I was like, what is this? I've caught a big crappie last year. I was down at Lake Cumberland throwing a spinnerbait and caught a big, huge crappie. Like, I think it was probably about a 12-inch, 13-inch crappie, if I had to guess. Biggest crappie I'd ever seen in person anyway. And, turtles. Like I said, I've caught a few turtles over the years. I've had frog chase my baits before. Like I'll throw like a topwater frog and actually have a real frog chase it.
A cannibal frog.
Yeah, I think he's just being territorial and trying to bully my frog out of his area.
Or either cannibal, or he was ready to mate.
Yeah, and that might be what it was too. I don't know.
Like, ooh, another frog. Time to make some tentacles.
Come here. Yeah, no, go away. Stay away. My frog bites. He's got hooks.
Oh. So, let me find something. No, I lost my train of thought there.
I could show you more baits. I got all kinds of baits sitting over here by me.
Sure.
Let's see if I can I'll show you a frog. So there's a topwater frog. It just floats on the top.
No legs?
Nope. Just got that's what we call like a skirt. These kind of act like the legs for it.
Looks like in that case it looks more like a tadpole than a polywog than an actual frog.
Yeah, it might, but they eat them. You get on lakes like Indian Lake or places that have like aquatic vegetation like grass or lily pads, things like that. They love frogs on those kind of lakes.
Wow. So that reminds me. Is it more clear water or murky water where you go?
Definitely depends on where you're at. Down south, like Lake Cumberland and Dale Hollow and stuff, it's definitely a lot clearer water. If there's a lot of rain, it'll muddy the water up pretty good. But generally speaking, it's really clear water. The lakes are over 100 feet deep in their deepest part. So, and they're old. I believe Cumberland was dammed up and created in 1952, 51, something like that. So it's been there for a while. But you go to places like Indian Lake, though, it's like a mud puddle. I call most of the lakes around here mud puddles because they're all so dirty and shallow. And
yeah, I think when I was little, I think my dad took me fishing where his friend lives up by St. Mary's.
Yeah,
a lake there. before it got dead for a while or something.
Yeah, the green algae, the
Yeah.
evil green algae.
Yeah, they lived. My dad's friend lived in this little village area near the lake, where it was like canal, like the Venice canals there,
Yeah,
where the house
yeah.
is at.
We did a tournament up there last year. Sorry for the earthquake. My dog's hitting the table here. We did a tournament up there at St. Mary's last year, and it's not as bad in the early spring, I guess, with like the green algae. It's still kind of murky and chalky, really, is kind of the best way to describe it, unless you get in some of those creeks. Some of the creeks are pretty muddy, but
I guess too much plants are a bad thing up there.
I mean, I like them just because, that's what bass like. Bass like grass and
Oh,
plant vegetation and stuff in the water. They do really well in those environments anyway.
but not to eat. Oh, they're meat.
Yeah, I don't.
They're probably more meat eaters. I thought bass like more meat eaters.
Yeah, they are. But they like the environment of it because it gives them
Oh.
good protection and it brings in a lot of shad and stuff. Like it's just better for the food chain as a whole having that there. So it kind of makes the bait more healthy, which makes the bass healthier because they're eating bigger and better bait. But they like it for the environment, and it gives them like a sense of protection and stuff because they got something over top of their head or whatever it is, because they're very structure and cover oriented. So they like to be close to things.
So do you know about any lake food chains?
Not really. I mean, beyond, bass eat shad and crawfish and the different types of shad and things like that. But
that's the one thing about back in science class. I used to be.
Is an abbreviation, Central Bureau of Investigation. By the way, when you teach me your voice, I can start making your Alexa experience more personal.
Shut up, Alexa.
Would you like to take a moment?
I think Alexa wants to join the conversation. There's our third guest. It's Alexa. Welcome, Alexa. Got any questions for us?
But yeah, like I said, that's the thing. Like in school, when I was in science, I used to love food chains and stuff.
Yeah,
local food chains, bigger food chains. Yeah, I was wondering how lakes, what ate what, and like basses, bluegills, pikes, minnows, trouts
I'd say generally speaking, bass are pretty high up on the food chain. Just depends on, there's different species of bass. Like there's down at Cumberland, they have what they call rock bass or stripers, and they're bigger even than the largemouth. Like they've caught some out of Cumberland that were like 45 to 49 pounds before. I caught a 7.5 pound striper out of there once, and I mean they get really big. They don't feed on the largemouth really, I don't think, but as far as the food chain goes, they're probably the top of the food chain down there. But I mean, they're all pretty much the same. It's mainly bait fish. There's a lot of different species of bait fish. Gizzard shads and threadfin shad and just I could probably go on for days. American shad and all these different types of shad and things like that. And then there's the bluegills and your perch and things like that. And then you got like the bass and it just depends on, I guess, the lake too, because you got pike and stuff in different lakes and muskies. Muskies are probably the top of the food chain in whatever lake they're in, because them things are crazy. They get huge.
I think I remember I caught like a frog once, like a big bullfrog once.
Yeah, big
like
bullfrog.
But, I hear when I do this, I have an idea and then it just disappears in my head.
I understand. That happens. It's one of those, you walk into the room and you're like, what did I walk in here for? And then you walk out and then you remember and you walk back.
Yeah.
I do that. It's part of getting old.
early Alzheimer's, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
So you have any family life or anything personal?
No, don't have any personal relationships or anything. My family's kind of spread all over. I got my oldest sister lives right here close by in Centerville. And then my middle sister lives down by Houston. And my parents live down by Gulf Shores, Alabama. So, and then I've got cousins and uncles that are kind of scattered around. There's quite a few of them around this area on my dad's side of the family.
Yeah,
but-
my family's spread out too. I got one niece up in Upper New York. That's the one that, if you see my Facebook post, just had the baby recently.
Okay, yeah.
And I have my other niece down in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Which I made a joke about one time about snow. They live on the opposite ends of the snow spectrum. One can have 2 feet of snow and still have to go to work in Upper New York.
Yeah.
And the other one can have an inch of snow and everything gets shut down
The city shuts down for like a week.
because they have no plows in Tennessee.
Yep.
But in New York, 2 feet of snow, whatever.
Yeah, right. They
Get
just
to
kind of
work.
blow it off. Anything in the Northeast, my dog's whining. I think he wants to go out. No, you can't.
And Ohio area is somewhere in the middle. An inch or two, no big deal. 2 feet of snow, then we're definitely gonna be close stuff for a while.
Yeah.
Except for my stupid job, where
Yeah.
I'm at McDonald's right now, like
Mhm.
paycheck, and you don't believe how many people, when it's snowing outside in blizzard conditions, still come and want ice cream.
Oh, I believe it. People are crazy. I worked at the Vandalia Fire Department for about 12 years. And yeah, I've been through some crazy stuff like the big snowstorm back in, what was it, like 2005, 2007, something like that.
Yeah,
Had like
Apparently
the
it's
18 inches or whatever it was. And yeah, people out driving and that stuff. And you're just like, why? Why are you out here?
yeah. Apparently it's not as big as the thing that happened a year before you were born. That big
Yeah.
blizzard.
Yeah.
We
Blizzard of 78. My dad worked for the Vandalia Police Department back then.
missed it by a year or two.
Yeah, shucks.
But not like we could have fun. Not like we could have had fun in any ways. We were too young. We were
Right,
too young
yeah.
to do anything.
No kidding.
That's the one thing about getting old too. Is we rarely get snow days anymore. Snow isn't as fun as it was when we were kids and we had to go out and play it and it had snow days.
Oh yeah, now it's not fun anymore. It's not fun anymore.
Now we have to shovel it, and slip on the ice.
Drive in it and deal with other people trying to drive in it, which is probably the worst part. It's not so much driving; it's the other people that you have to worry about.
At one time, I think about 2009, 2010, it was that snow, driving to work, and it was like 15 cars backed up. We had to walk out and help another car that guns and off of the on the 75, 70
Mm-hmm.
turnpike. We had to help pull it out of the thing.
Yeah, slid off the road.
Yeah. And that wasn't going anywhere until it got moved. Oh.
Yeah, we've had some crazy snow up here in the past. Luckily, it's not been terrible the last couple of years, but we'll see what happens this year. I don't think we've even seen the tip yet.
I guess it depends on where all the climate, if the climate's actually getting warmer or not in this area.
I mean, I'd be okay if it did a little bit.
Like snow. What's like our kids? Great kids are like Granddaddy, what's snow?
Yeah. Do you remember back in the day when it snowed? Tell us about it.
Oh, forget snow. Most of probably our kids or grandkids probably won't know what VHS or DVDs are.
Right.
Like I still remember my dad used to have an 8-track player.
Yeah.
And record. It was like a Slash Records 8-track player.
Yeah.
Like.
I've got some vinyl records, some Pearl Jam actually vinyl records. Never played them, but I do have some.
Oh. You remember the old skipping thing? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my first thing at records. I had a lot of books on records, like audiobooks.
Yeah.
Before tapes and DVDs and CDs even. Now everything's on your iPod or MP4 player.
Live streamed and yep.
Speaking of that, I remember now. Speaking of that, you ever thought about getting like one of those GoPro things and live stream your bass fishing or fishing?
So I just bought a GoPro Hero 7 Black, which is capable of the live streaming. So I'm still trying to look into it and see how the whole process works and how that whole thing goes. But it is something that I would like to do, but I don't know if it's going to be possible for the live stream stuff. But I do plan on recording like my tournament days. I got 2 GoPros and I'm going to hook them both up and basically try to record the entire day and then cut it down and edit it and post it after the tournaments and stuff, just to kind of give people an inside look of kind of a tournament day and how that goes. But yeah, I actually plan on doing a lot of live stuff this year, whether it's through YouTube or Facebook or whatever, even from my phone or whatever, talking about practices and doing things like that.
Yeah, you can do that now. Like that's what I'm doing now. You can now technology you can dual stream. I'm doing this on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah. That's kind of what the plan is for this year. Once the tournaments fire up, the first one's March 14th. So I'll probably do some live stuff driving down to the lake Tuesday, because we'll go down Tuesday night and then we'll practice for the tournament Wednesday, Thursday, and half the day Friday. And then the tournament will be on Saturday. So probably do some live stuff on Wednesday and Thursday, and maybe even Tuesday night driving down to the lake or something.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. I don't know if there's any fishing things audiences on Twitch yet, but you never know. You get a broader audience. The more your name's out there, the broader audience you can get.
Yep, and that's pretty much where it's at with the whole thing. You know, I got the Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube now, and it's yeah. Yeah. Hi Eric. Yeah, both these people in my chats have been on my show at least twice. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm getting my name out there, and so now so are you.
Yeah, I'm a first timer, so this is my first appearance.
Hopefully not your last.
But at least I got to be the first one from the graduating class of 1998.
Yeah. The only person ever showed interest, I've asked other people, but everyone's camera shy. Most of them are.
Yeah.
Of course, then again, I used to be camera shy too.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I did it. Just took the plunge, and then
Me too.
now I'm doing.
But that's also how I got into photography and videos in the first place. I was so camera shy back in middle school and high school.
Yeah.
I decided I'll be if I take the pictures and videos, I won't be in them.
Right. Gives me an excuse to not be in them. Somebody's got to operate the camera, right?
But then, yeah, inside my voice, sometimes I made rare appearances here and there, just for video things. Like birthday cameras, whatever, birthday pictures, whatever. But yeah, I thought my voice sounded terrible back in the day, and I look stupid. So I'm like, yeah, I'll take the pictures. So I have at camp and stuff, and in school and other places. I have somewhere. I think they're around somewhere still either in the garage or away. Like hundreds and thousands of pictures and film rolls.
Really?
Back in my days. Yeah, like I took at camp 6 days for 10 years, 5-6 years, 6 days of camp, two rolls of film each.
Yeah.
So I'm I used to
take pictures with a 35 millimeter my dad had. I got into that for a while when I first, probably right after I got out of high school. I used to take a bunch of pictures with that kind of stuff and played around with black and white and things like that.
But I used to love back when they filmed the advanced, not the digital ones, but the Advantix films. You didn't have to film that yourself. It automatically pop the roll in there. Did it?
Yep.
That was so helpful because. Oh, remember our trip the 8th grade Washington trip? Yeah. Yeah, I lost my last roll of film because I dropped my camera and it popped open.
Yeah.
It exposed it. So I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Yep, I had that happen a couple times.
It's funny. I asked a while, and so far we are still the only class in 6th grade that didn't go to Chicago. I'm aware of because of
Really?
our bad behavior.
Yeah.
The only
Well,
other one that came close, I think, was the 9/11 class, but only
yeah.
because it was dangerous to travel there or something.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
because they were bad
Right.
kids like we
It
were.
made sense. Yeah, it made sense not to do it or whatever.
Yeah,
But
but we were just bad or something. Like no trip.
yeah, we're just not going to take you anywhere. We can't take you in public.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a good record, good thing to have as a record, record unit or not. Like we can claim for that.
Yeah, claim to fame. We the only class that didn't go to Chicago.
Oh, I remember. Oh, what? So she went to Washington then, right? Definitely went to Washington.
I didn't go. No.
Oh, you didn't? I went. It was a fun trip. I even got kind of lost one time for a bit there.
Yeah.
Funny story.
I've been there a couple times. My sister lived there actually for a
Oh.
while around when I was in high school. So I'd actually been there probably 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. See, we were at the Vietnam Memorial. Yeah, I think it's Vietnam Memorial. I think the Korean Memorial existed yet at that time, but I saw a bunch of kids leave, so I started following them for like a minute or two, and I realized, wait a minute, I don't know any of these kids.
Wrong group.
None of these look familiar. I looked around
What school do you go to?
so I just walked back, and luckily they were still there. No one left yet. Like,
Yeah, that could have been bad.
Feel like, hey, where's Lamont at?
Right.
Like,
I think the only place I never made it to in DC are any of the Smithsonian museums. I've been everywhere else there, but I've never been to any of the Smithsonians.
oh yeah, we went to at least 3 Smithsonian's. We went to the Air and Space, American History, and then Natural History.
Yeah.
And wow, it was a fun trip for the days we were there. We even I even played one of those games where you sign games where you read signs.
Yeah.
First letter of each thing. I got all the way up the Q until I got up the R. The P, and then nothing till we got to Washington. Then we Q's for John Quincy Adams Drive.
There you go.
And
Yeah, that'd be a tough one to get.
And there's even an X somewhere, I forget, but yeah, it was a fun trip. It's exciting now, but I guess it was more. I do excited trips sometimes too, but when you're a kid, it's just, I guess you're more excited, I guess, about stuff like that.
Yeah. I'd like to go back and do like the Smithsonian's and stuff, and
That's true.
see the new the World War II memorial and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. I would like to go back to with my more mature eyes now.
Yeah, appreciate it more.
Huh. I can't remember. I really can't remember if we hung out that much at all in high school.
I don't think we hung out a lot, but we talked here and there for sure.
Did we go to the same elementary school too, or not? Or you at Demet?
So. I went to Demet, and then Morton, and then of course Butler. But.
Yeah, I was at Helke Morton Butler.
Yeah, the old Morton too, the original, the OG.
Oh, did you ever? You probably didn't go. Did you go to the last day?
Mm-mm.
I made some videos of it. I went to the final walkthrough. I met some people there. I even met some people there that went there when it was still a high school.
Oh, really? Back in, what was that, the 50s, wasn't it?
Yeah, 50s, 60s probably for the high school. But it had freaking changed a lot since our 20 back there. We were there 80 years ago. 89 it was 89 years ago. We were 80, 90 years ago. We were at school.
Yeah, I think so. Somewhere around that range.
Yeah.
Especially middle school had to be at least 90. Feels like it.
Different totally, we were like different lifetimes ago, almost. A
Yeah,
few
that was
lifetimes
back
ago.
when we didn't even have air conditioning in the school. Anyway, I think there was like 4 classrooms in the whole school that had air conditioning.
I think it was probably the newer 5th grade section. That was new. Oh, I still remember fifth grade. It was crazy. I was 5th grade. We were outside in during a fire drill. I looked around, like everyone looked so big. I'm like last year we were the big ones, and now we're tiny again. But anyways, at the walkthrough at the Morton, they turned the lower gym to like 2 or 3 classrooms.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's no computer room anymore, no home ec room anymore. It was all gone. Like the home ec was gone. Like, and I kind of, if I forgot it or I didn't realize that there's a lot of connected hallways at Morton, like the gym, like the lower gym connected to the auditorium and this, if I never realized that or I never paid attention before.
Seems like I remember seeing that, or like going through that or something. But
you ever playing dodgeball down the lower gym?
Oh yeah, remember that.
And then walking to the field house for inside recess. It wasn't exactly recess, I guess. It was fun. Yeah. Recess died off. We got older. In elementary school, it was fun. The playground, and then middle school, and then inside recess was fun too. But in middle school, we had outside, baseball field and stuff, and maybe there, and then basketball over there for the field house. Then high school, there was no recess. You just ate lunch and walked the hallways for a bit.
Yeah, just hung around and did nothing, get in trouble.
Oh, you have any memories at Morton?
Not really. I mean, like, I can remember like the hallway, like remember what it looked like, but I don't really remember anything specific, like specific memories that I can think of. I'm sure if I sat here and thought about it, I could probably come up with a few.
I just have 2 memories I still remember now. Well, 3 memories I remember. 1 neutral, 1 and a few bad ones. 1, the stairs. Yeah, having a classroom on the bottom floor and next class on the top floor, the locker in the middle, or
climbing all the stairs,
or locker on the top, both class at the bottom, and go all the way up to class, get your locker in, or to carry too many books there. So they won't let you carry your backpack around. So you have to carry your books around separately. So I
mean, I remember some of the classrooms. Like I remember the home ec room. I remember having science class, and I think it was a 2nd or maybe it was 3rd floor room that was it had windows facing the field house. And then I remember, of course, I kind of remember the cafeteria and kind of how that whole thing was laid out.
Yeah, I love the cafeteria at Morton, kind of, because it was the first time we were allowed to sit where we wanted to, and because at elementary school, at least where I was, they got you in a line and they see you right where you were standing in line, like in a rows. So whoever you're standing next to in line was your eating partner too, unless they missed it by one, missed each other by things. But I think my 2 bad memories were 1, 6th grade dodgeball. I got hit in the head like 2 or 3 times, like at least twice. I remember. I was out both times. One time I was out on the scene on the edge, and someone hit me in the head with a ball. It hurt. So I went upstairs to get some water over by the shop class, and then walking back, literally the ball hit the wall, bumped off the stairs, and hit me in the head again.
Really?
That's yes.
Great. I do remember the wood shop. Now that you say that, I remember the wood shop with
right
Mr.
there.
Cox. I think it was Mr. Cox, right?
See that key over there?
Yeah, the key. Yep. I think my parents still have mine.
I somewhere I even still have my cutting board. I never used it though, but I made in 5th grade. But yeah.
Yep. I remember taking wood shop. I remember the art class. I always liked art class.
Yeah.
With Mr. Clay, maybe. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah, I like home ec was also fun. Because of not the sewing part, but more like the food part. I love the food part.
Yeah.
Except for one time when one of the people in our class, stupid asshole, grabbed my hand and tried to force it on one of the fry griddles. We're making
Really?
pancakes. Yes, really.
Nice.
But other than that, my most PSD memory of Morton, I still have PSD of it, square dancing.
Yeah.
When I hear certain country songs, I'm like, this is just like line dancing country songs. It's just
I'd have to say Richard Simmons.
that
whole
thing. So the oldies with those.
Yep, sweating in the oldies. Yeah, the aerobics. Yep, that was probably the worst experience of middle school. I didn't mind the square dancing too much, not as much as I definitely hated the Richard Simmons and that whole thing a lot more.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. Was you had to be partnered up with people, at the time. It was awkward, and like
you're in that awkward stage. Yeah,
especially if you didn't like each other that much.
Right.
Oh, and then the three times a year mile run.
Yeah. See, I actually liked the mile run. That was actually one of the things that I was good at.
I did pretty well at it. I actually not
Quit.
when I was in school, but I actually ran a 7-minute mile one time in my early 20s.
Really?
I dropped dead afterwards, but I made 7 minutes.
I think the fastest I ever ran the mile was in middle school. I ran it in 5 minutes and 15 seconds. I was like the third or fourth fastest, maybe fifth fastest that year, but that was the fastest I ever did it. I ran a 7:45, maybe, what was that? Probably about 10 years ago, I think. And yeah, about the same thing. I almost died afterwards.
Yeah, I can't do that much anymore. I got asthma now, so I can't really myself that much anymore.
I'm out of shape. I couldn't do it now. I could probably run about an 8.5 if I really pushed myself, but I'd probably puke or pass out afterwards.
I am good at bike riding though. I rode my bike to Xenia and back one time. It was 36 miles.
Really?
Yeah.
Me and a buddy of mine rollerbladed once I don't even know why we did it, but we went from like Yellow Springs all the way to Kings Island almost on rollerblades. We got to ride back home because there was no way we were going to roller skate all the way back. But
I was want to do that, ride my bike from here to Kings Island, take a day of rest, and then go there for a day, like ride my bike there and then ride the coasters. I think it'd be a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Right. All right, so before you sign off, anything you want to advertise, any future on your channel, anything upcoming?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, once March rolls around, I'll have a tournament every month there for a while. It'll be March, April, May, and June. And so definitely stay tuned to like the YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to it.
Yeah,
even if you're not huge into fishing, I'm trying to make my stuff so that it's a little bit more of a broad audience. It's not too specific. There's some of it that'll be a little bit more technical and whatnot, but I got some ideas for some stuff to like little competitive things between friends and going out for a day on the water and kind of competing and doing fun stuff like that.
Can you put your channel in the chat real fast? I can type it in the description.
Yeah. It's just Tony Baber Fishing.
I don't know if you have like an actual name icon yet, or if it's just like letters. Because I started my channel early enough that I actually had I could use my actual name in it besides just.
My dog is going crazy right now. I don't understand why. I don't know. My dog. I think he was being murdered back there. I don't have the link for it right now.
I get it. It'll be in the description. What those the one that you'll subscribe to him. It's Tony. Look up Tony Bauer. Tony Bauer Fishing on YouTube. That's his name.
Petey,
So you got
stop.
like so.
What?
So you ever gonna host your own tournaments?
No, I probably won't do anything like that. Like I said, I'm gonna do some fun stuff like competitively between like me and some friends. You know,
Okay.
like this one-on-one kind of thing. We're gonna do. We were talking about it actually. Me and a buddy of mine were talking about it recently about going and basically going to a new lake that neither one of us have ever fished, and then kind of trading off who's running the boat. So take a couple hours with me running the boat, a couple hours with him running the boat, and then see kind of who wins or who has the best bag of fish at the end of the day. So that's kind of something that we've been talking about doing. I think it could be a fun little series just to get some people involved in it and kind of play around with it. Some guys that I know that fish and stuff, and just to try some new water and just see what happens and have some fun kind of competing against each other. So,
Yeah, that sounds like fun. Yeah, I really think it'd be cool that if you did, it'd be like have like a kid tournament, like invite all the local kids or something or teenagers to see. Like
yeah,
little kids, like
they do high school tournaments. I don't think they're big in Ohio yet, but I know that there's some high school teams out there and stuff, like especially down in Tennessee and North and South Carolina and stuff. Like there's high school fishing and stuff, like team clubs, and they do tournaments and have payouts and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a growing sport right now. We'll see what happens in the next 5 to 10 years. I think it could grow up to be a pretty big thing. See a lot of it on TV, like normal mainstream TV too, here in the next few years. I would say there's some stuff on like Discovery Channel and Outdoor Network now that's being televised. They haven't done anything live yet, but I could see something. I mean, there's live stuff online. Like if you go to the FLW Fishing website, they do live stream of all their big like pro circuit tournaments. And actually for the tournaments that I fish in, we do live weigh-ins. So of course I post all that stuff up on social media with like instructions or, you know, like where you can find it and stuff like that. But
cool. Well, like I found the link. It's in the description below. If you want to join it, him in his channel if you're interested or just want to learn some new things. And join me next week as Jim and Vixen returns as we talk about our favorite fan fictions that we've been writing these past few years. So if you're into that, hope you come there. In the meantime, I'd like to say goodbye to my guest, and as always, never stop learning and enjoy the randomness. We'll see you next time.
thanks
Bye.
for having me on.